All right, so welcome. This workshop is about the multiplier effect of clear instructables for educational maker activities. I will start with an introduction and expectation rounds. So I'm Lorraine. You already saw me hosting the live event, but I'm 25 years old. I'm a project manager at TimeLab. I have a background in cultural management and the commons movement, but I'm a newbie in the maker movement and the educational fields. Now, I would also like to hear from you, the people following the workshop, who you are and what your expectations are. And I would like to start with a special guest I invited, Ona. She's sitting next to me. And she is from a local school here in the neighborhood, Keerpunt, a French school. And I will ask her some questions about the workshops we made, because she helped me, together with the other children in her class, to pilot test the workshops we made with TimeLab. So Ona, maybe you can present yourself really shortly. You can do it in Dutch if that's easier.
Ja. Hey, ik ben Ona en ja, ik ben leerling in Keerpunt school, oase 50. En ik heb dus de workshops in TimeLab meegevolgd. Yeah.
For the people who are listening in English, Ona is a student at the Keerpunt school and she followed all the workshops. Now I would like to ask the other people in the workshop if they want to shortly introduce themselves and tell us about their expectations. So Federico, and I see you're still here in this workshop also. Is
yeah,
that okay?
I think somebody accidentally closed all the rooms.
Really?
I think it might have been me. I apologize. I clicked the wrong button.
Okay. Then we will take, I see indeed that everybody was, no, people are still in the breakout rooms, Ina, so you should be able to just rejoin them. So for people who accidentally came back to the main Zoom, there was a little problem with the breakout rooms, but normally you should be able to just join the breakout rooms again. All right, then I would like to continue with a little introduction round. Jeffrey, are you following the workshop and do you want to shortly introduce yourself? Lennart Ami, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm Lennart Amees. I work at the Creative STEM in Ghent as well. We are also an organization who does STEM education with children about digital production machines, like 3D printing, laser cutting, vinyl cutting. So we are almost neighbors from each other.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Jannes, are you following this workshop and do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Okay, I'm Jannes. I'm a teacher in high school, well, like secondary school here in Ghent. And we are looking to making like a makerspace in our school as well. And like for the renewal of the schooling system in Belgium, I think it's kind of they want to have it like more inclusive. So I'm eager to attend these workshops, and I'm also kind of part of Nerd Lab, which is also like a open makerspace here in Ghent.
All right,
So
cool. Jolan, are you following the workshop and do you want to shortly introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Good noon, everybody. My name is Jolan. I was a former project worker at TimeLab as well back in the days, but now I work at the West as a project researcher focusing on sustainability and also on some side projects involving students and STEM workshops.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Jelko, you want to shortly say something about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Jelko. I'm from Croatia. I was working on several projects with TimeLab and with other Fab Labs about inclusion, diversity, emancipation, discrimination projects. So yeah, I'm curious about this workshop. I'll follow closely.
Perfect, thank you. Katrien de Schepper?
Yeah, hello, good morning. I'm Katrien and I'm working also for the HOWEST, for the Hogeschool van West-Vlaanderen. I'm working on several projects, which one of them is Steam Hive. It's a project where we try to reach out to organizations who make who make activities out of schools. So not related to the school context. And it's in a collaboration between the Makerspace in Bruges, called MAM, Mind and Makerspace, and then the IDC, the Industrial Design Center in Kortrijk, and Buddha Lab, also a makerspace in Kortrijk. So it's a project that goes, that is a collaboration already in between several makerspaces with a lot of partner organizations.
All right, perfect, thank you. Thijs Verbeeke?
Hi, I am Thijs. I am the coordinator of the Mind and Makerspace in Bruges, where Katrien works also. And yeah, we are a makerspace with also a very inclusive approach to a very wide variety of people and organizations who come to the Mind and Makerspace.
Thank you. Then I see Fien Nelis also joining this workshop. Fien, are you here with us? No, then I will jump to the next person, Vladimir. You want to shortly introduce yourself? If not, I will jump to Gillian Joos.
Hello, I'm Gillian Joos. I work at the Creatieve Stem in Drongen. I'm a colleague of Leonard, who spoke earlier, and Fien, who apparently is not there. I'm curious about your workshop.
Okay, perfect. And then I see one more person, Kalin Dumitrio. Do you want to shortly introduce yourself? No? All right, perfect. Thank you so much for joining the workshop about the multiplier effect and also about the methodology. Let's dive right into it. So what are we going to do in this workshop? We have 25 more minutes remaining. I will explain to you why we made this methodology, why each of the partners made different workshops, different maker activities with clear instructables, and what exactly is the multiplier effect. How can you use them and why would you use them? So if I can bring up back my PowerPoint. Perfect. So, because Oscar is unavailable, I will shortly also say something about the methodology for the educational maker activities. Here on my screen, you see a quote from Silvia Martinez on how to build your makerspace. What is important here is that it's about the best practices. It's about bringing together how you can set up your makerspace and what this can mean for you. So what did we want to achieve with this methodology that you can find online on our websites? Methods for creating inclusive makerspaces. They are based on experience and best practices from all the partners and other people. And they include pedagogical, spatial design tools and methodological aspects. The methodology, you should see it as a roadmap. It's not a plan from A to Z that you have to follow, but you can use it according to the reality of each situation. That's why it's important to take some of the aspects in the methodology into account, such as who are your participants? What is the content of the workshop about the activity that you want to do? Where will you do it? What is the makerspace? Which machines do they have available? The budget, is it a low budget activity that you're doing? Do you have budget for material? Will you use reused material, recycled? Communication, how will you reach your target audience? And also documentation is really important. So that was really short about the methodology. If you want to know more about it, we will share the slides of Oscar's presentation in the chat so you can take a look at it afterwards. And of course, you can download the methodology, the guide for free from our website to dive deeper into it. But what I will talk about more today now is the instructables that we made for the maker activities. Simone already mentioned them during the general presentation. So what we want to achieve with these maker activities is that youth workers, people who work with children, people in an educational context, that they have a clear set of maker activities, step by step, that they can use to do with young people in a makerspace environment, a local makerspace. Maybe your school has a makerspace, because Jannes, I heard that you mentioned that you want to set up a makerspace. And what we took into account is the age of the participants, the difficulty, because this can differ from maker activity to maker activity, the costs, not every group has the same budget available, the time, how long does the workshop take, and which skills you need beforehand or which skills you can learn by doing the workshop. In my slides, you see an example of 2D drawing to 3D print. This is a good example. With age, it's 6+, so you can do this workshop with children aged 6 or older. It's not difficult, so it has a really low bar in the difficulty. It's a really low cost, and it does not take a lot of time to do this workshop. And the skills you need is 3D printing. So, or you can do this with a group who already has some experience in 3D printing, or you can go to a local makerspace, someone who knows how to use a 3D printer. You see one behind me here in the screen, and who can help you to do this workshop. What I want to explain further is that each partner made 5 maker activities. Why did we do this? We really wanted to share our expertise with different workshops with the world, and really wanted to include it in the project. Because it's one thing to learn how to use, for example, a machine like a 3D printer or a vinyl cutter, but it's something completely else to have a workshop step by step with a frame around it that creates a narrative for the young people, how they can learn to work with these machines, but also to learn new skills, how they can collaborate. The makerspace setting is not only about the technical aspects, but also really about soft skills such as collaboration, communication, how they can enter in a dialogue and interaction with each other. So here you see some examples, the 2D drawing to 3D print that I already mentioned, a maker activity about making makey circuits. We have a glowing LED butterfly, a cardboard robot hand, a buzzing bee circuit, and this is one of the workshops TimeLab made, laser cutting yarn from old t-shirts. So this is also about recycling and sustainability. So where are these instructables available? You can find each and every one of them on our website, but also on instructables.com. And instructable.com also includes a lot of other clear step-by-step instructables that were made by other people. So here you see an example of step 1 of the 2D to 3D drawing. And we use a lot of images, we use a lot of clear, simple language to really empower youth workers, people in educational contexts, to be fully prepared if they want to give this maker activity, this workshop themselves. What I would like to ask you before we move on in our workshop, because also it's hard to make it interactive digitally, but I really want to include you, is that you all go to our website, Makerspace for Inclusion. I will send the link in the chat, and that you go through one of the instructables, and that we talk about how accessible it is for you and if you would use it. So I will now send you the link. Just 1 second. Here it comes. So if you all click on this instructable, you will be redirected to the instructable about the buzzing bee circuits, but you can also choose any other workshop from our website, which includes all the maker activities that we made. And it would be great if you go through one of the workshops of your choice, step by step, and that afterwards we talk about accessibility. Are the steps clear? Do you think this is easy, accessible language? Would you feel empowered to use one of these workshops in your own practice? After this, we will dive deeper in some of the workshops TimeLab made, the pilot testing we did with the local school, and why Ona is sitting next to me, because I will ask her some questions about what these workshops meant to her. So I propose we take just 5 minutes to go through the instructable, and you can put all the questions you have in the chat. Does it work for everyone to access the link?
Yes, it works.
Thank you. All right, maybe we can, am I on audio? Maybe we can slowly start coming back to the session. And does somebody want to share some thoughts about Instructable? Because our purpose is to make it as clear, comprehensible, and accessible as possible with all the information, pictures, and a step-by-step. But I would like to hear from you, people in the youth education field, if what your thoughts are about this and what would potentially block you or empower you to use it.
Maybe just in general, if you look to the website, I think it's nice that you already made categories, like let's say about difficulty, cost, time, and also an indication of the skills that you learn. So it gives already a direction, and I think it's often already a direction to select something. Maybe I'm not sure, but because I'm not an educator directly. So, but maybe in time management, it can be even a bit more specific, because I think depending on the time that you have with your class or for your workshop or your activity, that maybe time is a very important indicator or factor to choose an activity. I'm not sure, but it's just, I think it's already nice, the categories that you made, and an estimation of costs and difficulties, and also point out which skills are needed. But maybe in time management, it can be a bit more specific. I don't know. It's just a thought, so it's not, but it's nice to see.
Thank you, Catherine. Yes, indeed, time management is really important. And this is actually one of the biggest problems we encountered also during the pilot testing. So thank you for pointing this out. And we will also talk about that further when we go through the pilot testing. Is there maybe someone who is an educator or a youth worker who wants to share some thoughts about it? You can just unmute and start speaking.
Yeah, I think if you look at the website, that is pretty nice. Kind of loads slow, so that's I don't know, like if it's my internet connection, but I had a hard time loading it in.
For me, it's fine. Just
yeah, but it's just like it's not really educational. The thing, like I have right now, I'm looking at the makey circuits and the Mighty Maker level belt, and there's like a lot of difference in the description. Like the one is really short and like has just the supplies and then direct dive into it, and then it has like the step 1 pedagogical and maker objectives, and with the other one it's just like a really long text at the beginning, which kind of is not, for me it's not encouraging to just dive in. So I don't know if it's to the template of instructables, but it would be good like if the extra information, like the what you learn with it is super important, that it's somewhere, but it would, for me, it would not be the first thing that I would willing to encounter, I think. Yeah, I don't know. And then for the rest of the steps are really clear. I think I don't know, because I have to log in to download the PDF. But it would be nice, I think, to have the PDF also directly on your page, on the M4 inclusion page.
Okay, I'm happy that I'm recording because I can access this later to implement this feedback. Thank you so much, Jannis. Indeed. So what I'm hearing is that the ones that are really step by step, you feel more empowered to maybe try out because you really see, okay, this is the first step, this is the second step. And when the objectives and the pedagogical and the more broader frame, that it should be on another spot. And Jannis, just a question, would you feel empowered to use this instructable to give a workshop to children?
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty clear. It's pretty straightforward. Like it's also good that you, in the beginning, you say, well, what you need. The only thing is that what I really like about some instructables, if you look to tutorials on YouTube, is also have like a certain link or like somewhere where you can get it. I know it's a kind of location specific, but for me sometimes it's hard to like, okay, crocodile leads, if I'm not like in the field kind of, then you don't know, okay, where should I buy it, what is it, or something. And then you need to scroll down to see this is this, and okay, it's kind of just for lazy people, I think, then, but makes it also more accessible.
No, definitely. No, that's another really good point that you gave, because indeed it has to be as accessible as possible, also for people who don't have a lot of experience. For example, myself, as I mentioned, I don't have a lot of experience in the maker movement or in the educational fields. But when I did the workshops with the school and with ONA, the instructables were the only thing I had. But finding the right material was difficult indeed. So adding places where you can find that is definitely a good feedback. Thank you, Jannis. Thijs, I see you raised your hands.
Yes, I would like to comment on that. First of all, it all's very, very clear, very structured, and it has the instructables workflow. So that, I believe, that does work. But if there's one thing I would like to address, if you make an instruction like this is very closed end. So it's an instruction and you do something. Now, if you want to make people more self-reliant, and you want them to grow from a very close project to more projects that come out of themselves and with a bit more open-ended character. It's interesting to make sure there's more information in the instructable for people who want that. For example, if you take the steamboat and use balsa wood, it would be interesting to put a link in it. So if you want to know more about wood types and why we use this wood, you can find this information here. So you can learn that balsa is very lightweight and it's easy to work with, but it's also rather expensive. And it's interesting for people who are triggered in a makerspace to learn more new skills, so they become more self-reliant, but they need to slowly move away from the close-end stuff. And it's also for instructors, like if they pick this up, like you just asked them, if you feel comfortable to give this in a workshop, but it's good if an instructor also gets a bigger base and the possibilities to grow and feel more confident about content. So I think for me that would level up the instructions a lot if it would have more links to more self-reliant information and build-up of skills.
Thank you so much, Thijs. And this is actually a great bridge to go to the next slides in the presentation, because now I want to give a little bit more information about the perspective of TimeLab. So if you follow the presentation by Avi about TimeLab, you see or you hear that the artistic perspective and the critical making movement is really important in our operation. So that's why for the workshops that we added to the instructables, we invited artists to think how they should tackle the workshop and what actually is the core of it. And the examples that I put here on the PowerPoints are from Klina Harmy and Jelko Blace, who is actually present with us here today. So maybe he can also say something about it in a moment. And what both Klina and Jelko have done is, like you said, Thijs, they also put links to more broader information to make it content-wise more interesting, and also integrate this topic of inclusion or diversity, in the case of Kicker Tables for Diversity, more into the workshops. So I would really want to recommend you to also take a look at these instructables, because if you scroll down with the one from Klina, there are a lot of links on interesting articles that if you're educator, someone in the youth work, that you can check to have more background information when you're giving the workshop, and to also place it in a broader perspective. So this is actually what TimeLab wanted to contribute to these instructables, is this artistic and critical approach. So maybe we can take a closer look at Kicker Tables for Diversity, because Jelko is here with us. So Jelko, can you just explain maybe in 2 minutes what the workshop is about? If you're still with us right now. Jelko, are you still here? No, if not, I will shortly explain. So
I'm just not with mic on. Sorry.
Sorry, no problem. Did you hear my question?
No, can you please repeat?
Yes, I will go back. So I explained that the perspective of TimeLab is really that we wanted to integrate a critical and artistic approach into the instructables that we added to the website. And because I saw that you were joining with this workshop, I thought maybe you wanted to give a very short 2 minutes explanation about how this critical and artistic approach is integrated in Kicker Tables for Diversity, the workshop that you made.
Yeah, so basically it was a workshop that was done, I think in 2013. It was conceived originally as a kind of community practice. So it evolved from working in different iteration with different community members in Ghent, and some were very young people, some were a bit older, some were enthusiasts, others were makers or professionals. And we basically tried to modify each time what is done and how they can modify the table in a way that it empowers them to feel that they also interfere with this symbolic system where each player is the same and there is only difference in between teams that they are of one color or the other color. And in terms of artistic reflection, we were also trying to encourage visual research so that people who were involved would also check out online resources like how different players engage with football on different levels, if they are recreational, if they are professional, if they are in Europe or in other continents, if they have different backgrounds in terms of class or ability. So to try to basically include this inside of making. And maybe the most interesting example is the female Muslim woman who was initially kind of a topic we were discussing as because of the headscarf issue that female players in some countries wear. And this was somewhat controversial. Then we were also discussing how much they actually can move and play. And we found videos that were very much illustration of full mobility. So the shape of the figure changed from very static to very dynamic because of this kind of critical visual research and looking for examples of how does it even look like when these players play.
Thank you so much, Željko, for this short explanation. So indeed, Željko really tried to put it in this broader perspective, not only about inclusion, but also diversity. And another thing that we did with this workshop in the Instructable is that we actually created different target groups. So you can do the workshop, for example, with a group of aged 8+, and then the topics that you will discuss about, for example, what does diversity mean, a diverse football team, what does it look like, that this level of conversation will be a little bit different than if you do it with a group of 12+. So the thing with the Instructables is, like the methodology that I just explained earlier, is that you really also need to adapt it a bit to the reality of the situation and of the group that you are dealing with. But I see that it's already 12:10, so I would like to give the word to Ona now, and I will go back to the slides for a moment. Yeah, so we did pilot testing because all the workshops the team made, we pilot tested them locally, and we tested it with the local Frenesco here, and local mothers and fathers came to help as a test to give feedback. They had different backgrounds, different levels of experience on how we could make the Instructables better. So Ona, maybe you want to give a little bit of insight why you decided to join these workshops and what you got out of it. And maybe you can say something specifically also about the one with the kicker tables for diversity. Doe het gerust in het Nederlands en dan zal ik het straks vertalen. Er zijn ook heel veel mensen die Nederlands spreken, zie ik in onze workshop.
Dus ja, ik heb aan meegedaan omdat ik normaal... Ik ken niet zoveel van technologie en ik heb altijd wel graag een keer zo die 3D-print en ontwerpen dingen via de computer. En ik vond het wel uiteindelijk heel leuk. Ik heb veel geleerd wel. En de workshop met de kikkermannetjes was... heb ik ook veel, want ik heb dan zelf ook een kikkermannetje ontworpen via de computer en dan 3D-print. En dat was leuk om te doen. Ja.
En we dan nog iets extra. I will shortly recap for the people listening English. So Ona joined because she wanted to know more about things like 3D printing and the technical aspects. And the workshop about gear tables for diversity, she actually designed her own football player in Tinkercad, I think it was. And then we printed it in TimeLab and she took it home. So can you tell us a little bit more about the experience of designing it and the skills that you learned?
Ja, het was... Dus ik heb meer leren werken met Tinkercad. En ook, ja, als ik dat zo zie, is dat wel heel moeilijk. Dus ik denk, dat is wel veel met technologie heb ik kunnen doen. En ik heb dus geleerd om met Tinkercad te werken en hoe dat je dat het best doet om met vormpjes via zo'n programma een heel mannetje in elkaar te steken.
Yeah. Dankjewel, Ona. Maybe someone in the audience has a question for Ona. You can do it in Dutch if you want to. About what the experience was like for her, how the Instructables helped her and the workshops to gain new knowledge and new skills. No, if no one has a question, I will go to my next slide. Yes, so Gear Tables for Diversity was the last workshop that we tested with the school. We also did the workshop T-shirt to yarn and yarn to rope. This was made by artist Helena de Smet, and it was really also about including, next to the inclusion part, sustainability and recycling, because we used old T-shirts to then turn into yarn and then into a rope. We also did one about the hyperlocal radio that I already mentioned, that was made by artist Klina Harmy. And we also did the drawing to 3D print and sticker. So what feedback did we get and which insights did we get out of the pilot testing? Overall, people thought it was really clear and comprehensible steps to follow and an accessible, fun and interactive way to introduce young people to technology. It also really incited collaboration between the different people in the group. But some negative aspects, like I said, like the methodology, they really need to be adapted to the reality of the situation. And this is not always very easy. And not all the material will be available in the makerspace. So, for example, with the T-shirt workshop also, it's a really nice idea to use the old T-shirts to then turn them into yarn. But what if you cannot find old T-shirts? It can also not be the purpose that you then have to buy new T-shirts just to do the workshop. So these are all aspects from the feedback that we took into consideration. And I already heard some really nice ideas and feedback to make the Instructables better. Maybe we can also add links to places where you can get secondhand T-shirts, for example, for this specific workshop, and other links to where you can buy the material. And another feedback that we got was also the language, that they're now all in English and that this is not as accessible and easy for every youth educator or people in educational fields. So the multiplier effect we really want to achieve with this project and these Instructables, that you can be empowered and don't need a trainer, but that you can give the workshops yourself, that you can use local makerspaces. Time was the first Fab Lab in 2010, but since then there are so many different makerspaces all around Ghent, Belgium, Europe and the world. And there is also a possibility of training in a lot of workshops, also to learn skills like the 3D printing, so that you also can support your own group in the use of the machines. Before we end, because we're going a little bit over time, and before I close the other breakout rooms, are there any last questions about this output, the Instructables? If you raise your hand, maybe I cannot see. Yeah?
Laurent, it's Jeffrey here.
Yes.
I want to thank everybody. And I want to especially thank Una, because I was there at the workshop and I brought a friend who is also a teacher. And because of all the people that were there, he got inspired and has now his own business and is repairing and selling 3D printers. And it was also because when he was there, he was inspired by all the kids and saw that there was a great opportunity for him also to do more with his hobby / work. And so he started a business. I just wanted to say that to Ona, that she was part of that.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Yes, it was really nice to have your friend over to help us with the designing and the Tinkercats. And it's so nice to hear that the experience empowered him to do more with his hobby and to really turn it into a business. And that he also felt more empowered because of the Instructables and the group. Yes. Is there someone else who wants to join some last thoughts? Share, I mean. Okay, then I see that people are already coming back from the other workshops. So thank you so much for listening. We will now actually go immediately to the second round of workshops.